What if I told you that the life you're living right now is not a reflection of your potential? It's a projection of your subconscious programming. That the reason you're not already living at the top 1% level has nothing to do with your ability and everything to do with your mental conditioning. Today, we're cracking open the master key to reprogramming your mind for abundance, success, and unstoppable confidence. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. This is not just another book breakdown. This is a blueprint for mastering your inner world, unlocking the hidden forces that silently control your habits, emotions, health, wealth, and ultimately, your destiny. In this episode of True Success, Angelina and I are diving deep into the science and spiritual force behind your thoughts becoming things. But that's not all. By the end, you'll face a powerful 5-question knowledge check designed to crystallize everything you've learned, supercharging your mindset and ensuring you don't just hear success, you become it. Oh, and stay tuned till the end, because we have a surprise insight that ties everything together and may be the one idea that forever alters the way you think. This is more than a podcast. This is a mental awakening. Let's begin.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're exploring the fascinating power of your subconscious mind.
It really is fascinating.
It operates with this consistency you can really rely on. It's kind of like the fundamental principles in, say, chemistry or physics.
That's a great analogy. You know, like combining elements. Hydrogen and oxygen always gives you water.
Right, essential.
Yeah.
But swap hydrogen for carbon, combine that with oxygen.
And you get carbon monoxide, totally different, potentially dangerous. Same principle of combination, wildly different results. Precision matters.
It really does. And it reminds me of those other universal principles, like water seeking its own level.
Yeah, whether it's in a tiny glass or the whole ocean, it just does.
Or matter expanding when heated. Always happens.
Always. These are just laws of the physical world.
Exactly. And in a very similar way, the ideas, the beliefs you really impress deeply onto your subconscious mind, they tend to show up, don't they?
They really do. They shape your conditions, your experiences, the events that happen around you.
So the mission, really, for this deep dive is to get a better handle on how you, our listener, can become more conscious of this incredible power.
And learn to work with it.
Yeah.
Intentionally. Because it's not just random chance.
No, it's not mystical in that sense, like any skill. Right. Operating your subconscious effectively comes from knowing the principles.
And actually applying them, putting them into practice to achieve what you want.
Okay, so let's unpack that interplay between the conscious and subconscious, because they work differently, yeah.
Very differently sometimes. Think about this scenario. Someone really dislikes mushrooms, hates them.
Okay.
But maybe they eat a sauce and they don't know there are finely chopped mushrooms in it.
Wow.
They might actually get indigestion, even though consciously they had no idea.
Wow. So the conscious mind is unaware, but the subconscious, it remembers that dislike.
Exactly. It holds on to that established preference, that rule, and triggers a physical response anyway. It's following its own programming.
Wild. Now, what about when the conscious mind does give a command? Like someone drinks coffee late.
Right. Maybe they drink it thinking, oh, this is going to keep me awake.
And then bam, 3 a.m., wide awake.
Yeah. And it might not just be the caffeine. It's also that conscious association, that instruction they gave themselves. Coffee equals awake.
So the subconscious is basically following orders.
It often is. Which brings us straight to the power of suggestion, doesn't it?
It does. Suggestion. Basically putting an idea into your mind, right?
Yeah.
Which then leads to acceptance or action.
Precisely. And we see this clearly with what's called heterosuggestion. That's suggestion coming from someone else.
Like the example of the nervous passenger on a ship. First time sailing, maybe?
Yeah, feeling a bit green around the gills already. And someone else comes up, maybe trying to be helpful, maybe not, and says,
"Oh dear, you look awful. You're definitely going to be seasick. Let me help you to your cabin."
Exactly. And in that vulnerable moment, the passenger's own fear can just grab onto that negative suggestion.
And suddenly, they are seasick. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, almost.
Almost instantly, yeah. But, and this is crucial, the subconscious doesn't react the same way for everyone.
Right. Think about a seasoned sailor, someone who spent years at sea.
You give them that same suggestion about seasickness.
We'd probably laugh, right? Or just ignore it completely.
Totally. Because their subconscious conditioning, their deep-seated belief that they don't get seasick, it just neutralizes the suggestion, rejects it outright.
So that highlights the role of the conscious mind as a gatekeeper.
A really important gatekeeper.
Yeah.
It has the power to look at a suggestion and say, nope, doesn't fit, not accepting that.
Like the sailor's confidence acting as a shield.
Exactly. Suggestion isn't automatic acceptance. It's a thought that's presented, considered, and then maybe accepted or acted upon. But you have that conscious choice point.
And sometimes this interplay, you can have really profound, almost strange effects, can it?
Oh, absolutely. There's this really striking, though sad, example. A father tragically loses his arm in an accident. And at the very same moment, his daughter, who had been suffering for years with a difficult skin condition and arthritis, both conditions just vanished, completely and spontaneously.
Wow. That's hard to explain rationally.
It is. The exact link isn't fully clear, but it strongly suggests this incredibly deep subconscious connection, maybe especially within families. A major event, for one, triggers a huge, seemingly unrelated shift in another.
It speaks volumes about the reach of the subconscious, doesn't it?
It really does. And it's also a pretty stark warning about the kind of suggestions we let into our own minds.
Because the subconscious takes things literally.
Very literally. Negative suggestions, fear-based ones, even jokes. If they get accepted, the subconscious treats them like commands.
Which leads nicely into autosuggestion, the suggestions we give ourselves.
Right. And unfortunately, negative autosuggestions, those little nagging fear thoughts we play on repeat.
I'm gonna fail. They won't like me.
Exactly. Those can actually manifest. Think of the talented young singer who keeps failing auditions. Maybe she's got the voice, but inside she's constantly telling herself, I'll mess up, I'm too nervous, they won't pick me.
And the subconscious hears that as an instruction.
It seems to.
Yeah.
It accepts that fear-filled statement as the desired outcome and then works to make it happen. It's like self-sabotage, really.
But the flip side is encouraging. We can use positive autosuggestion deliberately.
Absolutely. There's the example of people struggling with, say, irritability or a bad temper.
Okay.
By consciously repeating positive affirmations several times a day for maybe a month, things like,
Like,
from now on, I will be more good-humored. Joy, happiness, and cheerfulness are becoming my normal state. Things like that.
and they actually reported feeling better, more cheerful.
Significant shifts, yes. It's like using positive self-talk to consciously reprogram the subconscious, overwriting those old negative patterns.
So it's not just our internal talk. Heterosuggestion, the external stuff, is everywhere too, isn't it?
Constantly. At home, at work, social media. Often subtle, trying to nudge our thoughts or actions, maybe for someone else's benefit.
And sometimes not so subtle, and potentially quite harmful if we just accept it without thinking.
Definitely. Like that dramatic story from India, the man who visited a crystal ball gazer.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
The gazer apparently told him he had a weak heart and, get this, would die at the next new moon.
Oh wow. And what happened?
Tragically, the man, who was reportedly healthy before, just fixated on it, told everyone, started making arrangements.
Oh, tell me.
He passed away exactly when the gazer predicted.
But it wasn't magic, was it? It was the power of his own belief.
Precisely. His conscious mind fully accepted that negative suggestion. His subconscious, fueled by that belief and immense fear, literally manifested it physically. It's a sobering reminder of our mind's creative power.
But here's the crucial part, right? Those negative suggestions, they have no power on their own.
None whatsoever, unless we give them power by accepting them consciously. The source uses that vivid image. They're like tin arrows aimed at a battleship.
Love that. So if that man had understood his own mental power, had rejected the prediction,
The outcome could have been entirely different. He had the battleship, he just didn't know how to use its defenses.
Okay, so shifting focus a bit. The subconscious isn't just about receiving suggestions. It's also a source of things, right? Good things.
An incredibly potent source. It's where our highest ideals seem to come from, our aspirations, those altruistic urges.
Think about the genius of Shakespeare or Beethoven's music. Phidias the sculptor.
Exactly. These creative giants tapped into something deep, that wellspring of wisdom and inspiration within their subconscious minds. That's where the masterpieces came from.
And it's not just art, is it? There's that amazing historical account of Dr. James S. Day.
Oh, yes. The surgeon in Bengal back in the 1840s, this was way before chemical anesthesia.
Right, and he performed hundreds of major surgeries.
Around 400 reportedly, using only what he called mental anesthesia, just the power of suggestion and the mind.
And the outcomes were remarkable.
Astoundingly so. Very low mortality rates for the time, and patients consistently said they felt no pain. It's mind-boggling, really.
It really makes you think about the mind's control over the body, doesn't it? Pain perception.
Absolutely. The subconscious seems capable of things we might call extrasensory clairvoyance, clairaudience maybe. It seems to operate outside our normal ideas of time and space.
And it can eliminate pain, find solutions to problems.
It has this incredible capacity. So the goal isn't just guarding against the negative, it's also about cultivating a positive, harmonious relationship between the conscious and subconscious.
You're getting them to work together.
Exactly. When they're aligned, working in sync, in peace, that's when we tend to experience real health, happiness, peace, joy.
In conflict between them, they can manifest as problems, disease.
Often, yes, inner conflicts can definitely show up outwardly.
Okay, let's talk about belief and faith. These seem absolutely central to this whole process.
Absolutely critical.
Okay.
Think about those stories of healings at shrines, like Lourdes or other sacred places.
Yeah, you hear about those miraculous cures.
Well, the insight here is that the healing power isn't necessarily in the shrine itself, the physical place.
In the person.
It's often the individual's own subconscious mind responding to their incredibly strong, unwavering belief that healing is possible there. Their faith activates their inner healing potential.
Like the case of Madame Beer, who regained her sight.
Exactly. Apparently, medical exams showed her optic nerves were, for all practical purposes, dead. Yet after her pilgrimage, her sight was reportedly restored.
So it was her absolute faith, her confident expectation, that was the catalyst.
It seems very likely. Her belief became the active ingredient that switched on the healing power within her own subconscious.
We see something similar in that story about the man with tuberculosis, right? The one whose son brought him a piece of the true cross.
Yes, a classic example. The man recovers remarkably after touching this relic.
But the twist is...
The relic was just a random splinter of wood the son picked up off the street.
So it had zero inherent power.
None at all. It was the father's powerful imagination, his absolute certainty, his confident expectation of a cure, all fueled by his belief in the object. That's what triggered the healing.
So the subconscious responds to the thought, the belief, whether the object of faith is real or fake.
Precisely. It responds to the mental acceptance, the subjective conviction.
Professor Bernheim's experiments showed this too, didn't they? With physicians' suggestions.
Meticulously. He demonstrated how a doctor's authoritative suggestion could have powerful effects via the patient's subconscious.
Like the man whose tongue was paralyzed. No medical treatment worked.
Right. Until Bernheim convinced him that a simple thermometer was actually a powerful new healing device.
And he was healed, just like that.
Just like that. Believing in the instrument activated the healing response through his subconscious.
So all these examples point back to those two core ideas, don't they?
They really do. One, the subconscious is always amenable, always open to suggestion, especially when combined with belief.
And two, it has this incredible control over bodily functions and sensations.
Perfect control, often. So when we talk about mental healing today, the power isn't external, it's in your subconscious mind.
And changing your mental attitude, cultivating that belief, that's what releases the power.
That seems to be the key that unlocks it.
Which brings us naturally to prayer. It's clearly more than just reciting words, isn't it?
Much more. Viewed this way, prayer is about formulating a desire, a sincere longing from your soul. It's connecting with life's inherent push towards the positive peace, harmony, health, joy.
The source mentions a mental movie method. That sounds intriguing. How does that work?
The idea is to vividly imagine your desired outcome as if it's already happened. You immerse yourself in the scene, the feeling of it.
Feel the joy, the gratitude.
Exactly, with real conviction, especially right before sleep. Say you want to sell your house.
Yeah.
You'd mentally picture holding the check, feel its texture, see the buyer happy, give thanks for this successful sale, act as if it's already done.
So you're creating a strong, emotionally charged blueprint for the subconscious.
That's the idea. You give it the finished picture and it starts working to manifest it.
There's also the Baudouin technique, using a short phrase.
Right. Condense your need into a simple affirmative phrase. Repeat it like a lullaby, kind of rhythmically, as you're drifting off to sleep.
Like the woman with the lawsuit.
Yes, she was stuck in a bitter family dispute. She repeatedly affirmed, "It is finished in divine order." Just that phrase, over and over in that sleepy state.
And resolved peacefully.
Harmoniously and fairly, yes. The technique helped bypass the arguing conscious mind and impress the desired peaceful outcome onto the subconscious.
It seems all these techniques are about getting past the conscious mind's doubts and directly influencing the subconscious.
That's a very good way to put it. And the affirmative approach to prayer works best when you align your thoughts with those big positive life principles: truth, intelligence, harmony, health, abundance.
The author even used this for his sister's gallstones from a distance.
Yes, a powerful example of remote influence. He focused on affirming her inherent peace, the healing intelligence within her, restoring her body's perfect pattern.
And also addressed potential negative thought patterns.
Right, affirming the dissolving of any distorted thoughts contributing to the issue, and visualizing her as completely vital and whole. It's a holistic mental approach.
Beyond those, there's Quimby's method too, focusing on the divine ideal of health.
Yes, Quimby focused on the inherent perfection within the person, contrasting that with the patient's limited belief about their illness.
Like the woman on crutches who was healed instantly.
A striking example, shifting her belief from limitation to the possibility of wholeness seemed to unlock an instant physical change.
And the decree method, releasing the situation.
That involves consciously handing over a problem to a higher intelligence, with complete faith that the right solution will appear.
Like the young girl stopping the unwanted admirer.
Exactly. She used a specific decree. "I release his name unto God. I am free and he is free." And the unwanted attention stopped.
So the common thread seems to be impressing the subconscious with a clear, positive, unwavering belief in the outcome.
That's absolutely central. And always remember, the subconscious isn't just passive. It's also this amazing source of wisdom and guidance.
Connected to infinite intelligence, life itself.
That's the idea. It's where our aspirations, insights, intuitions come from.
Like the San Francisco earthquake example,
Mm-hmm.
people doing heroic things.
Extraordinary bravery, feats far beyond normal capacity. Driven by that deep subconscious urge to survive, to save others. It overrides limitations.
So how do we tap into that guidance more practically? There was a 3-step process.
Yes, quite straightforward. 1, clearly identify the problem. Look at it squarely.
Okay.
2, turn inward. Consciously ask your subconscious for the solution. Trust it to find it.
And 3.
Rest. Let go. Have faith that the answer is coming. Don't weaken the request with doubt afterwards.
That last part seems key. Holding the conviction.
It really is. Doubt is like static on the line. Another technique is that mental movie, again, vividly running the film of the desired outcome.
Like resolving a legal case by imagining the positive conversation with the lawyer.
Exactly. Playing that successful outcome over and over with feeling impresses the subconscious and helps bring it about.
Okay, let's shift to something many listeners are interested in. Wealth. How does the subconscious fit in?
Well, there's that insightful story about the executive earning a huge salary.
Right, not necessarily because he knew the most about the business.
But because he had deeply convinced his subconscious that he was worth that much, that he deserved it.
So self-worth at a subconscious level is a major factor in attracting wealth.
It appears to be huge. And conversely, a common block is envy.
Envying others' success. How does that block you?
Holding negative thoughts about someone else's prosperity actually hinders your own flow of abundance. It creates resistance.
So the advice is counterintuitive.
It is. Actively rejoice in others' success, genuinely wish them even more prosperity. This neutralizes the envy and aligns you with abundance.
That's a powerful reframe, turning envy into blessing.
Exactly. And then there's that wonderful story of the boy in Australia dreaming of being a doctor.
Yeah, he had no money for medical
Right.
school.
But every night before sleep, he vividly visualized a medical diploma with his name on it, held that image, felt the reality of it.
Planting the seed in his subconscious.
Deeply. And eventually, the opportunities, the funds, the necessary circumstances appeared. He became a physician.
It shows how depositing that idea with belief attracts the resources needed.
It all comes back to that core idea. Thought fused with feeling becomes subjective faith.
And the subconscious acts on that faith.
Tirelessly, to bring the desire into your reality.
So how do we apply this in our day-to-day professional lives? Problem solving at work.
Think about the pharmacist who wanted his own store.
Right. While still employed, he mentally rehearsed owning it.
Constantly, arranging bottles in his mind, serving customers, seeing the healthy bank balance. He was acting as though internally.
Living the reality in his imagination first.
Precisely. And then, unexpectedly, he lost his job, which seemed bad.
But it actually opened the door.
It forced him onto a new path, allowed him to save, and eventually he opened the very pharmacy he'd visualized.
Wow. Consistent mental imagery aligned with the goal.
It's incredibly powerful. Goethe used his imagination like this to tackle problems, and that stockbroker using inner dialogue to make good investments.
It's about consciously directing those mental tools.
Exactly. Like the high school student who turned his grades around by changing his attitude and using his subconscious positively.
And scientific breakthroughs, too, like Kekulé and the benzene ring.
A classic. Struggled with the structure for ages. Then the solution, a snake biting its tail, flashed into his mind just as he was getting on a bus.
The subconscious working away in the background.
Always. And Dr. Banting discovering insulin. The key insight came during sleep after intensely focusing on the problem of diabetes beforehand.
So the advice is really focus on the problem consciously, then hand it over to the subconscious, especially before sleep.
Persistently. Trust it to work on it while you rest. It often delivers.
It feels like tapping into a much deeper intelligence.
It really is. Now, what about breaking free from limitations? Feeling stuck?
Yeah, how can the subconscious help there?
That prisoner of war story is amazing. Mentally rehearsing escape, seeing himself as number 17 stepping aside during roll call.
And it worked. He escaped.
Yes. It highlights how the subconscious finds ways, creates opportunities that the conscious mind might never see, ways we know not of.
And it's not just about immediate escape, is it? Archaeologists, paleontologists.
They use imaginative perception, tapping into what feels like a collective subconscious memory to reconstruct the past. It's like accessing a huge database.
Wow. So on a personal level, how can we get guidance? Like finding lost things?
There's that simple technique. Before sleep, have a direct chat with your subconscious. State clearly what you need to know.
Like subconscious, tell me where my lost ring is.
Exactly. Set the intention clearly, then trust. The person in the example found the ring after doing just that.
Setting the intention and trusting the process seems simple but powerful.
And sleep is so important for this connection.
Why sleep specifically?
Because withdrawing from constant sensory input, getting quiet, it's like tuning in. Even short quiet periods are a form of sleep in that sense, allowing connection.
And lack of sleep is obviously bad. We know that.
Really bad. Affects mood, memory, perception. Dr. Stevenson recommended at least 6 hours.
Those micro sleeps sound dangerous too.
Very. Your brain is desperate for rest. Sleep isn't optional. It's fundamental for balance.
There was the woman praying about the job offer before sleep.
Yes, she asked for guidance and got this persistent feeling, don't take it, just a strong intuition.
And she listened.
She did.
Yeah.
And later the company went bankrupt. Her subconscious perceived something her conscious mind couldn't.
So guidance can come as feelings, intuitions.
Or dreams, sometimes symbolic, sometimes using familiar voices to warn or guide.
Like the employee who had the visionary cat nap.
Led to a brilliant idea, a big award, and Professor Hilprecht solving the archaeology puzzle in a dream. Sleep is prime time for subconscious communication.
So key takeaways on sleep. It's for guidance, healing, quieting the mind, essential for health, prevents mental issues, spiritual recharge.
The brain craves it. Lack of it impairs memory and coordination, and asking for guidance before sleep works. It's vital.
Okay, let's move into relationships. Overcoming negative patterns, building positive connections.
The story of the woman attracting the wrong partners is relatable for many, I think.
Until she consciously changed her subconscious pattern.
Exactly. She started vividly imagining her ideal partner, strong, loving, successful, faithful, using prayer and affirmations.
Focusing on the positive qualities she desired.
Intentionally, she reprogrammed her expectations and eventually attracted a man who matched that ideal.
And for existing relationships, like marriage, the advice is to focus on the good.
Definitely. Avoid dwelling on faults. The source calls resentment and hostility psychological adultery, being unfaithful mentally and emotionally.
Ouch. Strong words.
It highlights the importance of the inner commitment. So the keys to harmony are understanding these mental laws, praying together affirmatively, attracting the right mate initially, and finding happiness through shared spiritual truths.
William James called the subconscious touched by faith the greatest discovery.
Because realizing it can overcome weaknesses and solve problems brings true, lasting happiness.
Which is an inner state, right? Not just dependent on external stuff, like Proverbs says.
Yeah.
Trust your inner power and wisdom.
Absolutely. And negative emotions like anger, especially suppressed rage, are so damaging. The man with ulcers triggered by newspaper columnists.
Shows that direct mind-body link again.
But positively, the woman who transformed difficult work relationships by praying goodwill towards her colleagues.
Shows the power of changing your inner feeling.
And the salesman denied promotion because of his negative thoughts about his boss.
Until he changed his inner world. Visualizing congratulations, praying for his boss.
Right. He changed his subconscious pattern, projected goodwill, and the external situation shifted. He got the promotion.
So emotional maturity is about managing our own reactions, not letting others dictate our peace.
Precisely. Thoughts, emotions, reactions, they start within us. We're responsible for them.
Freud emphasized love, understanding, goodwill, respect for a healthy personality.
And what you emanate, you tend to attract back. Send out love and goodwill.
You receive more in return, like the actor who hated audiences after being booed.
But turned his career around by sincerely praying for them, sending out love. It transformed the energy.
So, key points for relationships. Subconscious records thoughts. Hate is mental poison. Mind reflects thoughts back. Negative actions return. Kindness returns. You're responsible for your thoughts about others.
Very well summarized. It's all interconnected.
Now, forgiveness. This seems crucial for emotional well-being.
Absolutely. Life naturally flows towards harmony and abundance. Negativity, resistance through negative thinking creates blocks. Forgiveness realigns you with that flow.
And it's not just forgiving others, it's forgiving yourself too.
Critically important. Self-condemnation is described as hell, inner bondage. Forgiveness of self and others is heaven, inner peace and freedom.
Compassion helps too, understanding why others might act negatively.
Yes, seeing their behavior might stem from their own pain or distress. Praying for their peace helps release your resentment.
And ultimately, if you master your own thoughts, others can't really hurt you.
Their actions lose their power over your inner state. Forgiveness is really love in action. Willingness is key, even if you don't like the person.
Wishing them well benefits you.
Absolutely. Key principles. Life doesn't punish. We punish ourselves with negative thoughts. Appreciate criticism if it's valid. Be immune to unfair criticism by controlling your thoughts. Trust guidance received in prayer. Nothing is inherently good or bad. Thinking makes it so. Release resentment with love until peace returns.
Okay, let's touch on habits, alcoholism, and fear. Habits are subconscious functions.
Established by repetition. Like Mr. Block, whose business suffered due to unconscious fear and resentment from a past failed deal. Negative beliefs created negative patterns.
And alcoholism. The root is negative thinking. Inferiority, hostility.
Often, yes. But the 3 steps to break habits like that are 1. Get still, quiet the mind. 2. Vividly picture the freedom and joy of the desired state. 3. Confidently affirm the subconscious is making it happen.
Overcoming fear uses similar tools. Affirmations, imagery.
Yes, like the student overcoming public speaking fear with positive self-talk. Fear can cause blocks like amnesia in exams.
That master technique for phobias. Water, heights, closed spaces.
Vividly imagine the positive experience. Feel the joy, the confidence. Impress that opposite reality onto the subconscious, like the executive blessing elevators to overcome his fear.
So we're born only fearing falling and loud noises. Other fears are learned.
And can be unlearned. Persistent fear leads to panic. Counteract it constantly with positive thoughts and images. Inner mental agreement is key.
Finally, let's look at the bigger picture. Life, mind, aging.
Edison's definition of electricity, it just is. Use it is applied to life. An invisible power to be expressed.
We can't see life or the subconscious, but we see their effects. So learn the principles and use them.
Exactly. And the idea of eternal life offers hope, vision, versus the limitation of only believing in this physical span.
Which leads to a positive view of aging.
Yes, age as an asset. Wisdom, skill, understanding, emotional and spiritual maturity.
Challenging forced retirement. Older people have valuable experience.
Hugely valuable. Retirement should be seen as a new venture, fulfilling dreams, not an end. Reject the idea of mental physical death sentence.
You can achieve more later in life with wisdom, like the executive seeing retirement as promotion.
Yes. Get a vision of yourself as happy, radiant, successful, powerful, regardless of age. Reject negative stereotypes.
Like President Hoover, incredibly active in his late 80s.
Amazing example of mental acuity, faith, resilience. And Cato, Schumann, Heinck, MacArthur, many others prove later years can be highly productive.
So retirees should find new interest. Study these laws of life.
Absolutely. Key points for staying young in spirit. Life renews, mind doesn't age, age is wisdom's dawn, later years are potent, welcome advancing years, life is eternal, evidence for survival is strong, count blessings not years, youth is a state of mind, gray hair is an asset, and thought is primary for vitality, even over diet exercise.
Wow. The consistent thread is just undeniable, isn't it? The link between thought, subconscious belief, and our reality.
It runs through every single example and technique we've discussed.
This has been a really rich deep dive. We've covered so much ground: the interplay, suggestion, healing, inspiration, practical methods for engaging this power for goals and well-being.
And that core theme keeps emerging. Our inner mental world profoundly shapes our outer experience.
So as you, our listener, reflect on all this, maybe pause and consider, given this powerful connection between your thoughts, your beliefs, and your life, what limitations, what things you thought were fixed, might you now start to question? What might you begin to redefine for yourself?
You've just been exposed to the life-recoding concepts of the power of your subconscious mind. But remember this, knowing these truths isn't enough. Because in today's world, those who don't actively rewire their minds are being passively programmed by everything else. Let this sink in. If you're not mastering your subconscious, someone else is. And if you don't claim control right now, you risk a future ruled by limitation, distraction, and stagnation. So here's what to do next. Subscribe to True Success to stay hardwired into the top 1% blueprint. Smash that like button. If you're serious about transforming your mind, follow us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and X for Umair e Tekwala to go deeper with our elite success community. Share this with one person you know is ready to break free. We'll now enter a rapid-fire panel breakdown with Angelina, where we dig deeper into these timeless laws of mental creation. But before you go, ask yourself, are you willing to let this be just another piece of content? Or are you ready to prove your commitment to mastery? Next steps. Take the challenge now. 5 questions. 1 mindset shift. Comment. Your score. Top scorers get exclusive access to our Success Strategy Vault next week. Don't just watch, ascend.